everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynne. I'm Dr. Brooke.
I'm Dr. Lynne.
And we're so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, everyone. This week we're talking about the concept of fear. There's a couple of different types that we're going to just help identify for you and help you to know when to lean in and when to back off.
I love it.
Yeah.
I like this conversation because I get in my head. You know this about me, but this is important because I don't know. I don't think maybe this is something we think through or talk about, but it's something that we should.
Right. And credit where credit is due. I got this concept from this book, Playing Big by Tara Moore. And this is a great book. If you're at a place in your life where you're considering what your next step is, which so many of us are.
Absolutely.
What are you wanting to step into in this life after kids? You can read this book. It's a great one for helping you to expand your thinking, I guess, and to dream a little bit bigger. But she talks about how in the Hebrew Bible there are a couple of terms for fear. One is the type of fear that's more overreactive, like the worry type of fear, the things we tell ourselves, like when our kids are 5 minutes late, like all the scenarios we go through in our mind. You know, we all do it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Right? We dress rehearse the scary scenarios, basically. And that tends to be non-productive fear, right? It's the type of fear that really occupies our mind with anxiety and anxiousness, and but it's not productive.
It keeps us from, sometimes it can keep us from getting to where we're going, or I mean, it can be, I've had moments where I feel like that is literally like paralyzing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, what's that quote that like 99, I'm worried about so many things and 99% of them are never going to happen.
Yeah.
Like,
worry is paying taxes on money that you haven't earned. Or...
Yeah. It's like, it gets, I don't know. But anyway.
I don't think I said that right.
Yes, that it is very unproductive and we do too much of it. But talk about this other fear. This is an
because I don't think we've recognized that there are different types. So this is where the awareness is so helpful, because we lump all fear and we're used to getting that visceral reaction, right? So what happens when you're afraid? Your mouth goes dry, you start to sweat, you get a clenching in your stomach, among other things. And we just have learned as humans, if it's fear, danger, back away.
Right.
Okay. So but the second type of fear is a type of fear that happens when we're about to inhabit a space that's bigger than we're usually used to occupying, right? Like when we are dreaming or thinking about this little whisper of a something that we thought we could do in this next phase, that we're actually just even terrified to think about or say, because that would be something that would create that energy that's bigger than we're used to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this is, I mean, gosh, right now in this phase of life, like I think a lot of us are dreaming about what's next and other things we can do. And we're having conversations around this all the time, but it is important to acknowledge that it can feel like really scary and really daunting, but that doesn't mean it's not for you.
Absolutely. And when you take that step, and the first step could be something that you conquer, but like step 3 or 4 could be really terrifying. And the tendency is to get the sweaty pits and the dry mouth and think, okay, danger, back away. Maybe I'm not so good at that. And that's when all of those voices creep in, right? Oh, who do you think you are?
Yes.
Why did you ever think you could take this on?
Yeah.
Right? But you have to identify, what type of fear are you feeling? Are you about to occupy and take on something that you're going to step in that's just going to stretch you and feel expansive? Or is it a fear of, no, this really is danger, and this really isn't something you should do. It's taxing you. It's creating exhaustion or whatever it might be. It's out of balance somehow.
Right. Yeah. You have to be really self-aware and think through that. Yeah. As opposed to the other fear where you know that it's just ridiculous. Like your kids are going to be home and you need to let it go because it's not serving you at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's an important point here is that when you are very often, at least in my experience, when you are on the cusp or brink of something big or a big change or something that really is for you, you will get that almost like you're a test, like, how bad do you really want this?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, you need to go through that sort of fire to get to that big thing. And I think fear is a piece to that, right?
It is. And I think we talk a lot about stretching into your comfort zone. We've all heard that. And it's that feeling when you step outside of that. And where do we experience the most growth? So it is a positive thing. But initially, it could feel like this energy that we aren't used to feeling that can cause us to go, oh, nope, toe back.
Yeah.
Toe back behind the line where we're comfortable.
Right. Or as you said, I'm not good enough, or I can't do that. Like, I'm not experienced enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't have the knowledge. I don't this. I mean, there's all those things we tell ourselves that I would say mask themselves as, at the end of the day, it's fear.
Yes.
You know?
Yep. And then
it's fear personified.
Yep. And it's masking itself as it's protecting us. When in fact, that's the time. If it's the type of fear where you're putting a toe outside your comfort zone, that's the time to lean into that. Whatever that activity is that's doing that, you need to go for it. Because like you said, you're crossing the coals, you're walking on the fire, but the feeling that you get and the results you get and the outcome you get on the other side, whether that be growth or accomplishing something bigger and seeing yourself and, growing your identity of who you are and what you're capable of, it's so worth it.
So worth it on the other side of it. And how can you take that energy, that fear energy, that quickening of the pulse and the sweaty and all of that, and harness it for good energy to kind of catapult you forward?
So the truth is, if you think about that visceral reaction, the fear response is exactly the same as excitement.
I know.
Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
And you can actually just, in your mind, this is where these practices with your thinking really come in handy, where you can tell yourself, okay, I'm excited, and breathing deep and moving around, because sometimes you just need to channel some of that energy. If it's all bottled up, moving your body to just kind of help you get through that. What would you add?
Yeah, if you want to take it and transform it or dissipate it some, or whatever you're going to do, I think those are great things. Journaling helps me just, okay, what am I really feeling right now in this moment? Mm-hmm. How am I going to work through? Like, I am capable. Self-affirmations.
Yes.
Self-affirmations are huge. I would say reaching out to a friend. If you're really feeling scared, talk through it.
Yes.
Get that. Sometimes you need to get out of at least me, I need to get out of my own head, and I need to hear, like, girl, you got this.
Yep. Brene Brown talks about that. When you having your inner circle, when you hear those gremlins, get on the phone with somebody. Those, she calls them gremlins, I'm not good enough, or who do you think you are? Right. Get on the phone with somebody who knows better and can be that sounding board for you to remind you that go for it.
Yeah. Prayer is another thing for me. Just reconnecting, like knowing who I am and what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Though that's huge. There's just so many different ways to build yourself up and push through that. On the flip side of that too, the other thing that just is a really practical sense is, if you're feeling fearful because you're not sure you're prepared or whatever it is, maybe you're not. Maybe you need to go educate yourself a little more. Yep. Maybe you need a little more training or whatever it is. But take the steps you need to be prepared for that next thing.
And from a mindset point of view, it's important to know that everybody feels that fear.
Yes.
The successful people that you see on social media that have gotten what you're working toward, they have felt that fear. The difference is, and they also tell themselves, they also have their own gremlins.
Sure.
The difference is they walk the coals and cross the fire.
Yeah. So the big thing here is keep going. Do it anyway. Do it scared.
Yes.
Right?
Love it.
Do it scared. And in the meantime, take some of these tools that we just talked about and use them to get through it. Yeah. And to build yourself up. But do not listen to that voice, and I don't know that there's ever a good time to listen to fear unless you're like a teen and you're going to do something stupid.
Yeah. Okay. I see where you're going with that.
Sometimes fear is there because we need to have fear.
Common
sense. More times than not at this phase, fear needs to be ignored and pushed through.
Yeah, and especially with our wisdom and our experience that we've accumulated as women in this phase of our life, we know if it's truly a fear or if it's terrifying because we're putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
We're going to be putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable. And
Right.
that's the fear we need to conquer at
Right.
this phase to have the life
That we
that
want.
we want.
Yeah. And we're all stronger than we think we are. You are stronger than you think you are.
Absolutely.
So,
Never forget.
guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you and we appreciate you watching. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, and our website is www.lifeafterkids.com.
Truly, guys, have a great week and make it count.